Hey Wendy, can you hear me? Oh, hey Margaret, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh yeah, I'm having issues with my internet, so if I get bucked off,
So is Wendy, I think.
yeah, I have internet, but it's really slow. So, hey Janso, what's going on?
Hi, Mr. Mazzetti. How are you?
I'm doing good, my man. If my internet would start working better.
I know. I think it's the weather.
It's the weather.
Man.
I bought this really cool system for my house. It's unbelievable. It's called Google Mesh.
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
It's awesome. I have these like little canisters all over the house,
Yeah.
and I have internet everywhere, so it's super fast. And when my report says it's blazing fast, but it ain't blazing tonight. So
It's cold. So is it Bob Schoonover passed away?
hey Margaret,
Yeah.
can you light a fire under Freddie, and can we get Jeannie Palmetier a proclamation for dedicated means? Or he said he was going to do it. She passed away a while. We really need to recognize her.
Okay, I talked to him. I mentioned to Wendy. Wendy said they usually just do it for people who worked here.
Yeah, we've done it for people that
Okay.
are outstanding community members. He said he's
Okay.
going to do it. If he's not going to do it, then just say he's not doing it.
Yep. I'll talk to him about that and Wendy.
Right. Hey, Fred.
Good evening, all.
I was asking Margaret to remind you about Jeannie Palmetier. And she said that we don't do it for non-town members, but we've done it for some non-town members.
Wendy mentioned that to me, not Fred.
All right, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
That's okay. You have to hang on a couple minutes for Wendy. I'm trying to get she couldn't sign on with the links.
I just talked to Lenny. Lenny says he's on, but I don't see him here.
I'm having internet issues tonight. It's really slow. So I don't know.
It may be all the lines and the weather and the storm.
And if it gets a little loud here, they're across the street cutting down the tree now.
Good. How much damage did the car suffer?
I heard them chatting. They said it's totaled.
Oh, geez.
Hey guys, how do you think you say this name? I'm going to type it in the chat. This last name. How do you think you say that?
Gorgawi?
I don't think it's Gogari.
I'm gonna go with Jimmy.
I'll go with Giorgio.
Giorgio?
Yeah,
What do you guys
Giorgio.
wanna do? I got to say that name tonight, and I'm going to butcher it. So what's the consensus? Lee, what do you think? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Giorgio?
I thought it was
Giorgio.
I was going to say Giorgio.
When
Yeah.
it comes to last name and pronunciations, I think,
Don't ask him. He only has 3 letters, so.
thank God for that.
Let me see if I can use this first name. And Dana is Dana, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
most people pronounce it Dana.
All right. So I'm going to butcher this poor kid's whole name.
Welcome to the club.
What?
Welcome to the name club.
Yeah, the name. Listen, I've been called a lot of names. I can pronounce all the names I've ever been called.
Lenny, are you on?
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Claire. How are you?
Good.
Are you on, Len? You might be muted.
Me, I'm here.
Hi, Mike.
Is Mike calling you?
All right, you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes.
So Lenny's not on.
Hey, are you muted? Because we're on and I don't see you. Okay. Okay. Well, you're on, I got you on the phone, so if not, we'll just put you on speaker. I don't know. That's Chinese to me. You got on the last time, right? You have the phone number, you could call in, you know. Who's that?
For some reason, the Facebook link is not working. Sorry, the Facebook link is working. The website link is not working.
There's Margaret just said there's some links, with the Facebook link is working, the other one isn't, there's some issues tonight because of the storm, with internet. Might not even be you tonight. Really? Some, oh, some are down, I mean, it's the storm issue, so if push comes to right now, I haven't put you on speakerphone, I'm about to do that. Actually, it's 5:00. I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, put you down. You ready?
If I get on, I'll just hang up.
You're on speaker.
All right, I'm on speaker. Okay, trying it now. My email says
That might be where the problem is.
yeah, but I'm just waiting to
You think
for him to open the meeting, and it just appeared.
you could have lost it.
Yeah, well, evidently I lost
You there, Wendy?
it.
I am, yeah.
I tried fixing the website link, but it keeps coming up with the same error message. But the one on Facebook goes through.
Yeah,
Done this on the phone before.
yeah, I don't know why. And mine made me, because I'm the host, maybe
Well-
log in, so, okay.
Next month we'll be looking at each other.
I had problems signing on too through the town one, and I went to Margaret's one. She sent it to Jamie, and I got on.
Yeah.
Margaret's worked perfect. The one you sent in the email was perfect, Margaret.
Like everybody says, the site through the town homepage didn't work. But luckily enough, I have webinar downloaded into the computer, so the link worked that way.
Is Mike on?
Yeah, Mike's on, Joe. He's a caller. I think he's caller 2 or 3.
He's caller 2.
Yeah.
Mike, why are you not calling number 1? You're number 1 in my book.
Thank you, Joe. At least I count, right?
I just put a note up on the website page that says, please use the link on Facebook, Town of Lloyd page.
Ask Margaret what my password is.
She's not gonna give it to you over the air.
Hey, Freddie, I got the email with the contract from Optimum. Do we need to go in exec to discuss that at all, or is that just?
Well, what I was gonna have Sean do is either we could all meet. I didn't open it up yet. But we're gonna go into executive session. We're gonna be live at our workshop the first Wednesday. So speaking with Steve, with Sean and Steve Latino, we can go into executive session a normal way, and then we can take care of Adam's contract. We can take care of this contract. We can do it all in 2 weeks.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so happy we're going live. I think it's great. I'm so proud of all of us for, doing that. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be at that meeting. I have state tests, I have all this stuff going on in my school. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. If I can get out, I'll shoot into the meeting. But otherwise, I don't think I'm going to be able to make that one.
Okay, gee, keep us posted.
I can tell them how to call in on phone. I know how to do that.
I'm not going to be able to call in.
So that's on the 5th, right, guys?
First Wednesday.
Yes. May 5th.
Okay, Len, it's 7:00. Why don't we start with the pledge, please?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible,
Justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Lenny, thank you very much. Wendy, would you start the meeting off by reading the proclamation?
So this is a proclamation for Robert Schoonover, Bob Schoonover, who used to be the town supervisor, okay?
Wendy,
Where-
when was he the town supervisor? I'm sorry, I just was curious.
You know what? I'm sorry that I don't have those years.
When I came in 1990, he was a town supervisor.
Sorry.
Was it 90s?
He's the supervisor that hired me, 1990.
Wow.
I'm sorry. This came to me, I didn't have any information. It came to me very late this afternoon. So,
Okay.
but thank you, Claire. You're right. I wish I had, he
No,
did.
it's okay, because I thought I knew all the supervisors, and I was like, I don't remember him. But maybe I was,
He did 2 terms, and then I think Dan Bravetti did 2 more terms after
He
him.
did. Yep.
I think that's correct.
Yes. Okay, and I don't remember the years.
that's okay.
Yeah, all right. So whereas Robert Bob Sterling Schoonover, 74 of Boynton Beach, Florida, was taken from our midst on April 11th. And whereas Bob was born on January 14th, 1947 in East Stratford, PA. And whereas Bob was a graduate of East Stratford High School, class of 1964. And whereas Bob served our country in the United States Coast Guard, where he was trained in Cape May, New Jersey, and at one point was stationed at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Whereas Bob began his professional career with IBM in Poughkeepsie and held the position of first line manager. And whereas Bob and his first wife, Kathy Cook Schoonover, established residence in the town of Lloyd in the hamlet of Highland, where they designed and built their family home and together raised their children, Robert, Scott, and Jody Sue. And I'll just mention that also Kathy Schoonover was a deputy town clerk for many years.
Yep.
And whereas Bob and Kathy served their community and town government in local recreation and as coaches of local sports programs. And whereas Bob served 2 terms as supervisor of the town of Lloyd. I wish that, Claire, I wish I had had time to look at that. And whereas Bob served as chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. And whereas Bob served as president of the Highland Soccer Club. And whereas Bob's service to the community was representation of his generosity with his time, his quest for knowledge, and desire to connect with others. And whereas Bob, in his retired years, pursued his interest in becoming a maker and a fixer and grew proud of his learned skills of carpentry, plumbing, tiling, and general construction. And whereas Bob remarried and he and his second wife, Catherine Miller, lived in Brewster, New York, and later moved to Boynton Beach, Florida, where they spent many years together close to the beach and with their beloved friends in briny breezes. And whereas Bob will deeply be missed by his family, friends, and communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved, this regular meeting of April 21st, 2021 of the Town of Lloyd Town Board be opened in memory of Robert Sterling Schoonover, or Bob Schoonover, and be it further resolved that a certified copy of this resolution will be delivered to his wife, Catherine Miller, his son, Robert Scott Schoonover, and daughter, Josie Sue Harris, with the deepest sympathy of the town board of the town of Lloyd.
Wendy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, as we get started tonight, Jamie, are you on to give us a walkthrough about Mayfest?
I am. Well, Elizabeth was going to join us, but I don't see her on yet. I can go on to Mayfest. Elizabeth, are you there? No, I think it's just me right now. I could talk about it very fast. So,
You have to talk that fast.
Oh, thanks. Mayfest is going great. Peter has been wonderful as usual with the rail trail and Eric, and we're working with the full partnership, right, Peter? You there?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've got ticket sales going. I want to remind everybody that the tickets are limited, but the sales are going very well. So if you can share the link and everything else, we do need volunteers. So if anybody would like to volunteer, that's a blessing. I have a link I can send around to anybody that would like to see that. We are sold out of vendor spots, which is fantastic. We have 24 wines, liquors, distilleries, beers, ciders coming in for the tasting area. Hudson Valley Restaurant Week is a partner. A Taste of New York is a partner, and Metro North has now become a partner of the event. So Metro North, I have shuttle buses picking up from Poughkeepsie Railroad Station, which will help the traffic flow for the event that the team is putting together. And we just have a wonderful event that's even, I think, going to be even better than Oktoberfest, in my opinion. And Oktoberfest was way up high on the list of great events. So the website is easy. It's www.walkway.org/Mayfest. And Peter, is there anything you want to add?
I just add that the tickets are only for the tasting area, and the trail and the vendors are free.
Right. So the
there's-
entire market is free, like Peter was saying, and the tasting ticket would be free samples. You get a wine glass and a band, and you get to sample the 24 vendors with that ticket.
Woo.
With moderation.
Easy for you to say.
So Fred, we're working on some details which aren't firmed up yet, but there is going to be a press event that I will send notice out about. Senator Hinchy will be there with the presentation, but I don't have the details on that yet.
Okay, terrific.
Okay?
Okay, we'll be all looking forward.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
With the building department is in class today, tomorrow, and Friday, and I don't see them on. And I don't know if Gary is on or not tonight. If not, then we'll kick him over to the workshop, even though the clock is running. Let me jump down to yes.
Before you go on,
Yes.
they have a container outside of the building, and the material is in the container right now, so they must be cleaning up inside the building.
Okay.
Maybe to build a structure or whatever they need to hold the roof up.
When
There's definitely been some work going on.
Okay. When did they put the container there? Last day or two?
The other day when
Okay.
I went by today, it's full.
Okay. Well, good. Well, then he's working.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the container's filled. It's been there about 4 days now.
Who's speaking? Was that Lenny?
That was Lenny.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
it was Len. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Len, why don't you continue with EDC?
Well, actually, hold on a second. You're on a computer now?
Yes.
Okay.
Who are you asking who was on?
Charles.
Is Charles on?
Not that I see, Fred.
I don't believe he is, Len.
Okay, then I have no information on EDC.
Okay. Very good. Fire district, the only thing that's good that will be happening, our lease is up now with the fire district, and I'm awaiting the new lease. I'll share it with everybody when we get it. That's all I have for fire. Joe, Central School.
Sure. Yes, I'm gonna say the best for last. Right now, the district has gone back to 4 days of instruction for students, which is terrific. They're doing a great job with their COVID guidelines. As the COVID guidelines change, they're doing a really good job with that. They're notifying parents when they do have a situation. They're working on their budget, so they should have a budget put before the board shortly to vote on. Once the board votes on that budget, it'll go to the general public to vote. Hoping they're going to be under the 2% cap because that's important to our taxpayers, and I'm sure they will be. And now the best part of my report, the Highland Central School District that has announced the valedictorian and the salutatorian. The valedictorian is Stephanie Klein with an average of 102.9 and plans to attend New York University to study dentistry.
Fabulous.
The salutatorian is Dana, and if I mess up the last name, I'm very sorry. We had a couple people talk about it. Giorgio, she has 101.8 average. She plans to attend the State University of New York at New Paltz, my old stomping grounds. I graduated from there myself with my bachelor's, and she plans to study accounting. Two great fields, two great people. Hopefully they'll come back when they're a dentist and accountant and, help our people in our town.
Congratulations to them both.
And that concludes my report. Oh, one other thing, we talked about the concession stand. I want to commend the board. I think it's a wonderful idea. Having a concession stand at the reservoir. Since we don't have anybody who wants to rent it, having students, clubs man it and take the proceeds. We would donate the concession stand for free. Any proceeds would go to their clubs or their trips, a way of us helping the students out and doing a partnership with the school and town. I think it's a wonderful idea. It's something we'll have to vote on once they tell us who's going to run it. I did talk to two board members who reached out to the superintendent. They were all very excited and very thankful for the generous offer. They also have talked to a couple of advisors. One advisor has reached out to me He's pulling other advisors to see how they want to divvy it up or what it would look like. They're also working with Frank. I've tried to reach Frank a couple times, but I'm sure they've talked to him already to get the hours and when it would open and all the, you know, fine points that would have to be taken into account. So that's where we're at with that.
Sounds good. Okay, Letty, maybe walk us through what's new at the Highland Landing.
Lenny, you have to unmute yourself.
Because of CSX, they keep moving things around and they can't do the study until the 28th. So as of I'm proud of myself. As of right now, the plan is to start digging on May 3rd. So once that's done and secured, then they'll set up the boring machine. So that's kind of where we're at this moment.
Good, we're getting closer.
Yeah, we've gotten close a bunch of times and then dropped the ball somewhere along the line. So anyway, we're kind of good with that. We're doing a little bit of work on that back wall where those lights are, the fences by the railroad tracks, trying to get that squared away. We got some grass planted on the northwest corner, but unfortunately the fishermen are yelling and screaming at them, and that's just in a little bit of time that I get to spend there. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter that there's ropes up and everything else. They walk across it. And grass has been in there about a week and a half, I guess, or the grass seed. We're setting a plan forward to do the concrete work around the Bob Shepherd rock that's on the south end of the building between those two windows.
Yep.
There's going to be a brass plaque made that's going to go on that rock. So that's probably, after we finished a little bit of work in the back there, that's probably the next project. Then we have to get the steps off that are in the back, run them through the planing machine, paint them, and put them back on and build the railing for that. That's kind of where we are with that at the moment.
Sounds like we're moving forward.
Okay.
Next is Hudson 7, and Lenny, I might ask you to help me with this.
Okay.
Apparently, the New York City Department of Public Works has been releasing an exorbitant amount of water into the upper Isoka Creek, and it's creating a lot of mud. And what's the word, Len? Turbidity into the Hudson River. Seven towns, including ourselves, draw off the river. And we're all doing letters of memorialization, which I'll have ready for the workshop to send down to New York, in support of them not dumping this much water. Lenny, anything on lights?
I called back. There's 4 lights that are out up at Bridgeview. I've called that number in like 3 times. But the guy hasn't called me back, so he must be away or something, because he always has in the past, the guy that I'm calling there. Other than that, I haven't been riding around at night. Linda's a little better now that I can kind of get her out. It's warm. So I will start to ride around and see if I can find any other lights that are out and try to get those numbers in there.
Good.
That's kind of it about, I guess, yeah, that's about it for that.
Okay. Claire, planning board?
So tomorrow night's the regular meeting, and on the agenda is the villages. So that's old business. And then the public hearing is still open for Golden View. So they're still taking comments, and they're getting lots of comments and written comments sent up to Dave. So they're taking all of that under advisement. So that's
Terrific.
pretty much what's going on in the planning board. Everything else is kind of small. There's, like lot line revisions, things of that nature, but nothing major.
Okay, good. Jimmy, bring us up to speed where we are with police. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Fred. Our body cameras are up and running. We had a departmental meeting last week. We had about 5 hours of training with the body cams and the policies and use of force. So that's back in place, and we're moving forward. We're making Some major advances with urgent task force. Hopefully we'll have some
I
news.
think he froze or maybe I
soon.
froze.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. We did the body cams, use of force policies, they're up and running. We still got our individual and urgent. We're making a lot of headway with that. We started our Cops and Coffee program again after a year of COVID locking us down with it. So check our Facebook page out. We'll have details every month where we're going to be at, what time. Everyone's welcome to attend. The more input we can have for our community. And hopefully next month we can start our youth rec league once again. Outdoors, where we all be safe and COVID free, hopefully. And that's where we are.
Terrific. Jimmy, thank you. Lenny, you,
Jimmy,
you and
Jimmy, I
Peter
have
want
a
to talk
question
about rail
for you.
trail? Oops, sorry.
Jimmy? Hello?
Yes.
Mike?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mike, you're a little muted.
I can hear you.
Okay. Jimmy, I heard there was a severe accident up near Chapel Hill in 9W.
It was 9W in Perkinsville Road area, 3-car accident. No fatalities, some serious injuries, leg, arm injuries.
Okay.
Rear ender pushing a car into a northbound lane.
Okay. I heard it was a lot worse, so I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, no, it was bad, but we've had a lot worse. So everyone survived.
And Jim, could you talk about,
Thank you.
I'm not putting you on the spot, Jim. So if you don't have the information or can't talk about it, please don't. What happened by the Lowe's traffic light? I understand it was a bad accident there.
Yeah, it was about another serious personal injury. Nobody died. Somebody failed to yield it right away, making a turn. I mean, we basically have 30 to 40 accidents a month, so more people are getting out with the weather, and unfortunately, the accidents are going to pick up. We're enforcing a lot of the speeds and stop sign areas on town roads, so we're going to try to curtail some speeds, but it happens. You know, it's unfortunate, but it was a 2-car accident. No fatals. Everyone went home.
Freddie, I don't know if you have the answer to this, and Jimmy, you may have it. I don't know if either one of you, but if we don't, can we reach out to the DOT, whoever takes care of that traffic light? Because what I notice, because I do live on the street, is when you push the sign to walk across to the rail trail, it shows walk. And then what happens is people are making the right on red, and they're going into the intersection and almost taking out the person on the bicycle or the car. Maybe we could put a sign up that says no turn on red. That may make it a little safer there for people, especially
That's a DOT light.
yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
We'll track that down.
Thanks, Fred.
Sure. And with that, so that everybody knows, they're restoring and will be repaving 299 over the next
Thank
couple of
God.
probably into mid-May, just so everybody's aware what's going on with the highway. Let's see, Lenny, do you want to talk about rail trail or Peter?
I'll talk a second. First, I want to go back to the Hudson 7. I was with the Ulster County Trails Committee, and I believe it's Mary Mack. Can't think of her last name, but she was discussing the Esopus Creek and how there's no fish in there. The fish don't go up to spawn anymore because of all the turbidity and what's going on with that. I just thought I should bring that up because it's affecting more than drinking water. It's affecting the eco life.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, so just briefly on the rail trail, we voted last night as our members to offer a $5 discount to any member of the Hudson Valley Rail Trail to the tickets for Mayfest, and anybody that signs up for membership would get that $5 discount. It's a way of us giving back to our membership, and also the Walkway is doing it for their membership also.
Hey, Wendy and Pete, that's awesome. I love it. Is it on the website? And can they join on the website?
Let Jamie, you're muted.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry. So the website has the ticket sales live. If you're a Rail Trail member, you're going to receive an email tonight with a special code to use, and that will automatically take the $5 off the ticket. And if you come to the event, you just mention you're a Rail Trail member, and we'll have a membership list there to offer it. It's also an email is going to go out through the Rail Trail to say, hey, if you'd like to join right now and buy tickets, you get your $5 off Mayfest tickets. So it helps spark sales, but it also helps the membership out, because I'm a strong believer in the Hudson Valley Rail Trail membership. But like Peter and I are strongly agreed to, so is Eric, is that we need to give more benefit to the
Membership.
And that's the walkway too. They do that too.
Yeah, but can we get it on our website, the Town of Lloyd website? So this way more people, when they come to the Town of Lloyd website for our information, they may see it and click on it and join it. Wendy, is that
So-
something we can do?
Absolutely.
Let me address that. So when you go on so the rail trail link is on our website. Like if you go to, I forget what it is.
Rail
They
trails.
go right to their website. And Jamie, we probably need to update that, I think, because you guys have updated your website. So it leaves the Town of Lloyd website and it goes over to the Hudson Valley Rail Trail website.
We I
And,
don't know.
and again, Joe, yes, absolutely. We can put a bulletin up on our website and on our Facebook page, to promote this.
Wonderful. And is there any way, Wendy, that we could put it on the local channel that has the ads, even though, because we're going back live, but just in the future, that might be a way to get people to join any of our organizations that we want people to join that needs membership, and we have advertisements for the board members, but maybe we could, and other small things, but maybe we could put, would you like to join? Go to the website and click on our link to join the rail trail.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a brand new website for the rail trail that I designed. So it is live now. So it's Hudson Valley Rail Trails with an S.org. So there is an updated link for Mayfest on that website. I can send that to you, Wendy, too, with a one-page flyer to put up, if you would like.
Oh, certainly.
Amy, because we take credit cards, Wendy, if we had the registration, could they pay by credit card? Well, of course, there's a percentage, and we could just forward the fee. So this way they could do.
It's
No.
different things. What I collect in my office is for 3 different accounts: town clerk, water and sewer, and taxes. We currently do town clerk and taxes. What the Rail Trail Association collects is totally separate from us.
Could we think about, though, maybe doing for the parks, like the reservoir, swim lessons moving forward, and renting the pavilions? Because that may.
They can do that, yes. That's part of the town clerk program that we
Okay.
collect for those items for summer fun and all that. That's all part of the town clerk program, so yes. But the Rail Trail Association is a separate entity-ish.
I get it.
So we cannot collect for them.
So also with this, because of the complexity of it, the walkway is handling the tickets. And then we get then we get the money afterwards, because it would be too tough for keep track of everything at that point.
It would be too confusing to the customer if there were 2 ticket links out there. So part of the partnership is that the vendor fees and the sponsors collected from the rail trail stay with the rail trail and vice versa for the walkway. And then the walkway pays all the expenses and has the ticket link live, and then we settle afterwards on the ticket sales and the expenses.
Terrific.
So just quickly on our new website, it's pretty extensive. We've been working over a year, and there's drop-down menus that list the local businesses where you can hike. So we can definitely tie into town parks and all that with all that.
The one part to the website that's being worked on still is the phone version of the website, because it's so video heavy. I have to compress the website, and that's going to happen right after Mayfest. But if you go to a computer, the website is fully working.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Lenny, anything new with water and sewer? Len?
Unmuting
You're
him.
gonna be muted.
Go ahead. Lenny, you there? He's unmuted.
I don't think he can hear you, Margaret. I don't know why.
I'm not muted. No.
No,
Lenny.
I can hear you, but he.
Okay.
Len? Let me try to get him back.
Somehow you cut me off.
Oh,
Okay,
there
you're-
you go.
You're back on.
Okay, much better.
Yeah. I can see everybody.
We can hear you now. So, we're at water and sewer.
I, about the only thing we had at the last go around was we're talking about the water line at Gerantines. He didn't want to loop it around. We had voted a month before that to loop it. And then I don't know. Anyway, Franco, I guess, talked to him, and I talked to Dave Barton and CPL, and they decided to let him not loop it, but he's got to move where they're going to take the water off the line closer to the fire hydrant, so it doesn't get to be stagnant water. That, and we're just talking about the bores and CSX and what may have you, and you're up to speed on all of that stuff. That was more or less everything at the last meeting.
Okay, good, thank you. Michael, anything new with zoning of ZBA?
No, I haven't been available. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Not a problem. Okay, is there any old business to come before the board tonight?
Mazzetti's got some old business.
Go ahead,
So
Joe.
the first one, I don't know if anybody's got an answer to, but I just want to put it out there again. The sidewalk that's supposed to go from the rail trail to Commercial Avenue. We've now, at the last workshop, the developer's going to do it himself. Dave told us he's going to pay somebody to build it. I just want to make sure that before it's built, it goes to our engineers at the builder's cost, to make sure that it meets code, state code, because we don't want a sidewalk that crumbles and deteriorates or is unsafe. And number two, if we can get some type of timeline when this sidewalk is going to go in.
Okay,
Second, old business is we talked about affordable housing. We all agree that this is an opportunity for people in our departments, such as dispatchers, police officers, other civil servants.
Joe, I don't want to interrupt you, but I was going to talk to that under new business.
Oh, okay, then we'll talk about it under new business.
Okay,
And-
thank you.
Okay, then that's all I have for old business.
Okay, any other old business to come before the board this evening?
Fred, I just got one more thing from the police department.
Yes.
We're still doing I'm gonna do a little plug for our fundraiser. We're still doing wristbands, Townwide Police, Protect and Serve. All the proceeds from these will go to the American Legion. We're gonna meet them at May 5th at the American Legion meeting, and hopefully present them a nice check to help them out. Anybody wants one, come see myself or Lieutenant Rolliston. They're $5 a piece, and like I said, all the proceeds go to the American Legion, and we'll be ending it like May 5th.
Thank you.
Thanks for the reminder, Jim. I totally forgot. I'll come see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Moving on, new business. Is there any new business to come before the board this evening?
Yeah, I have one new business, and then I want to hear what you have to say about the affordable housing. Jim, this is to you, and I'm sure I'm getting reports, and I actually saw one myself. I think it's Mare, that road that doesn't line up to the traffic intersection on 9W by Hannaford's.
Yeah, that's Mayor.
Yeah, Mare. A lot of people are coming down that and making an illegal left.
They are.
Really dangerous, and what's really disheartening is I actually saw a safety vehicle. I'm not going to say what department it was from. It wasn't one of our highway or any of our townspeople, but it was a safety vehicle coming out of that road and making an illegal left. That is totally unacceptable.
But I also got to check to make sure that you can't cross those hazard markings, but I don't know if there's a sign there that we have to put up too also. On Mayor, as you come down the intersection, no left-hand turns. I think that's a start, and then we can start enforcing that a little better.
Okay.
I'll get a hold of Richie and find out as far as if he has a signage for that to put it up. But you're right, it's a bad location. We've had accidents there. It caused one of our fatals 2 years ago.
Right, and it was really upsetting when I saw a safety vehicle actually do that, and they should know better.
And that's 2 tickets, right, Jimmy? Because it's 2 sets of lines.
No, it's 1 ticket, but it's just more dangerous than anything else.
Okay. Thank you. Under new business, I'm going to speak to affordable housing. In the last week, I reached out to Mark Ryder at the county executive's office. We had a conversation, and then I also had a lengthy conversation with Dennis Doyle. We're proceeding with that. We have a couple of options. We set up a committee on either on our end, or we reach out to Rubco, because part of it, as the units come online and become available, there's a lottery system that gets set up, and the town has the ability, whether we run it or Rubco runs it, Joe, to talk about who, my understanding is who might get any preference in the lottery when it comes to employment, although the salary is the salary. As that proceeds forward, and I have more information, I will share it with everybody.
So Fred, I'm really glad you did that. I'm really pleased. I think it's something great. Thank you for taking the time out to do that. I'm going to recommend to the board, we've talked about this a long time, but I want to hear what they have to say, but I really think, as we have all these projects coming forward, and projects that need to comply and should comply, maybe Repco at this point in time, should take it over, because we did, as of right now, Dave, I know he doesn't like the idea, but we did appoint him to the position. And I understand it's too much for him, but
So Joe, I can speak to that too, because I had talked to him about it, and because you and I kind of went at it in the last meeting. The problem is what we're gonna have to do is have somebody to enforce it, right? And with developing the way it is right now, we don't have the manpower to send Anthony and Elaine out all over the place to enforce that. That's why I agree with you. Rupco should do it. So Dave and I had talked about it the other day at length, and that's one of the conclusions that we came up with. So I'm glad that we're all on the same page.
yeah, and then when we originally talked about it, and in fairness to the board, when we originally talked about it, I don't think we really comprehended the depth. And when we pointed Dave, it was just like putting a Band-Aid on it. And I think we just didn't. That's what I was trying to get through Dave is, although he's appointed now, it wasn't really the best decision then. And I said that at the time. But let's fix it. Let's do it right. We've got this law. It's something great for our community. Let's do it right. And I think Repco is the place that can handle it. They're the professionals, and then we can revisit it at a later date and maybe take it over ourselves. But right now, I think that's the route we have to go.
Also, just to let you know, I talked to Scott about it too the other day, because we've been on calls for some of the building and stuff. And the planning board has to, when they do all their, all their reviews and everything, they make those builders accountable. They actually have to tell, they're making sure that, they're enforcing it on their end, but then it's the enforcement of somebody going out to check to make sure that, those developers are, putting 10 apartments aside on a certain number. So, it starts at the planning board, but it has to finish someplace else. So I'm glad that we're all on the same page.
And to that, Claire, the set aside of the units, as you start to dig into this, and Rubco probably is the solution because it becomes a bottomless pit. The set aside of the units is the tip of the iceberg. The administration of it really starts to broaden out. And I hope to have had the conversation with Rubco before the next workshop meeting so that I can report back to everybody with that.
And that's Guy, right?
Yes.
Freddie, I'm not trying to put you on the spot either, but there's something else I want to bring up. I know you're working on it. If you would like to talk about it, that'd be great. If you can't, I understand. If you're not prepared, I totally get it. So we're having a situation with our larger apartment complexes because we don't have rent control. And I'm hearing horror stories where when their leases are up, they're gouging to people 15, 20, 25% rent increases.
Yep.
I know that they passed a law that we can implement, and that affects some of us because I have apartments and we all
Right.
do. And
I can speak to that,
But
Joe.
you can only raise a rent once a year, it's from my understanding, and it can
yeah,
only
but-
be a certain level.
I can
No,
speak.
right now, Claire, they can raise it as much as they want. If
I
we,
thought we could, no, you know me,
If you
Joe.
give me a second,
I
I
don't
can
do that,
speak to
but-
this. I can speak to this point.
Okay,
I spoke with, Joe, I spoke with your uncle, actually a couple of times now, and I've reached out to, Jonathan Jacobs's office, and Julie is working on that for us, to try to drill down and get the legislation, so that we can figure out how we can, put it into the form of a local law or a resolution so that, we can enact something along those lines. So, Chuck was pretty up to it. I just spoke to him again on Tuesday. Again, with everything going on, that's also up in the forefront. So as soon as I hear back from Julie, I'll be able to report back to the board.
and also, Joe, I know, because I've had a couple open apartments, I've understand from people I've shown, people are doing that all over the place, they're gouging, they're starting to.
right. So
jump up
Claire,
fence.
without the law, they can raise it as much as they want when the lease comes up.
I thought okay,
No,
so.
we
it's
had
when
to vote it in. And at the time, nobody was doing that. But now it's getting really ridiculous because rents are going sky high because of demand. And, people are getting forced out and they can't afford it. I mean, I don't raise my rents. I don't. When you rent from me, it's the rent is till you move out.
Well, you know me, Joe, the same, and I
Right.
had a couple tenants leave, and my rents are really fair, and I have to tell you, I must have had like 50 people come to look at it. It was incredible. I was like running.
Right.
So I will stay on top of Julie with this, and as soon as we have, the information, I'll share it with the board so we can proceed with it.
I'd like to say something about the affordable housing title. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. I think we talked about it in the past. I think the Ulster County planning recommended that we call it workforce housing. I know Joe in the past has mentioned that people that live here, work here, they grew up here, they can't afford to stay here. So maybe we give it the proper name for it instead of affordable housing. Okay.
We'll do whatever the county board planning tells us that we can do.
And there's one other
Yeah,
thing
well,
I want to talk about. We
that was
talked
their recommendation.
Mike, I'm sorry I stepped over you. What did you say?
That's all right. No, that's all right. That comes from the county planning board. In the
Good.
past, we discussed it and they recommended that.
Good.
So one last thing I have under new business and I'm done. We talked about it during the moratorium about hotels, and I know there's talk about hotels coming, and I'm all for business. I'm all for hotels, but what I want to make sure is that we get a hotel. So one thing I think we might want to look at, and Sean may be able to guide us on this, is change the law on hotels, requiring them if they build a hotel or motel, it must have an indoor pool, it must have a restaurant that operates between certain hours, and it must have a conference room. Because if somebody's building that with those amenities, they're building a hotel that we're going to be proud of, that we want to stamp our approval on, versus, a motel or hotel that could turn into something else. And we have enough of those in our community now.
The only problem with that, Joe, is that, right off the top that comes to my mind is I get it, but, is that in their economic plan? Like, can they put a hotel that has an indoor pool and a restaurant that, that they can fill enough to be able to afford that in Highland? That's my only concern.
Well, I think it's something we have to look at and see if we can, because the reality is, are you building a hotel for people to come and vacation and come to conferences at, or are you building a hotel under the ruse of a boarding house?
Well,
Some
so
of,
you
some
know,
of them are exactly boarding houses, and if you look at it, you know, a 90-room hotel at $75 a night, if you fill it, when you, and more toward a boarding house, that's 2.7 million a year. That's a pretty profitable boarding house with the name of a motel. And I think we just need to figure out, is that what we want for our community? And if it is, then we leave it alone. If it's not, if we want a motel or hotel, we should have a requirement of, you must follow these guidelines.
Well, let's talk to Sean and he can give us some guidance.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I think it's
That's
you're gonna have
yeah.
to have a discussion with Dave also. But I think
Right.
another thing is if you think about the proposal down by Walgreens, you know, they're looking for, you know, additional height and additional size and so forth, and they're looking for variances because they're saying when they're building these hotels, you know, they need to have a certain size to make it economically feasible. So I think if you start putting these requirements that you have pools and restaurants and so forth, they're going to even push that a little more. Say, okay, if we need this, we're going to need more rooms and more size and more height. Which I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I think that's going to be a byproduct of putting these you know, requirements in.
And,
And
remember, Joe, remember one thing, you know, you think that, you know, they're going to have so many rooms and they'll, you know, fill them, but they're not going to fill them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, unless there's holidays or culinary graduations or things like that. So, you know, you have to look at the occupancy too. And I think that's what Dave will speak to, because, you know, if they don't have a certain amount of money, they're not going to come to Highland and put a big hotel in with all those amenities. They're
right,
just,
and then, but
We're
you
not
know,
there yet.
and just on Sean's point, you look at the Hampton Inn in New Paltz, they wanted a third story. They weren't allowed to do it. They still built the hotel. They have their indoor pool, and that thing's booked all the time. You know, so you know the reality is that, and all I'm saying is if you're building a hotel, you're going to build a hotel. If you're building a hotel as a ruse to do
like the Super 8.
boarding houses, or like I'm not gonna say other names. I don't like to say business names, but if it's becoming a boarding house, which we don't allow in our town at all, because we're opening these motels as a motel, but they're reality boarding houses. If you have requirements, they're really going to build a motel. Otherwise, they're not going to build it. And the reality is that if we want boarding houses, then we should allow boarding houses to be built and just cut to the chase, rather than, you know, making people build a hotel or a motel and it's really just a boarding house.
Well, let's talk to Dave and Sean and get some guidance and proceed with that. I am under the understanding that if they want to build above the height requirement, we have control over that through zoning, and we don't have to grant a variance.
Right.
Okay. Privilege of the floor. Would anybody like to speak of privilege of the floor? Okay. Wendy, would you start with resolution A?
Fred,
Yes.
Sorry.
before you start, would you explain?
Sorry,
There's some new people here that may not understand privilege of the floor. I think privilege of the floor is that anybody in the audience can speak at this time.
Yeah.
They want to speak about.
Okay.
Can everyone hear me? I just unmuted myself.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, it's Maureen Flaherty, living in Bridgeview. I just got a question about the moratorium, because I'm really reading a lot recently about the different developments and things. Can someone just explain to me what was the purpose of the moratorium, and was that goal set at the end of the moratorium?
I can.
Okay, thanks.
So the moratorium was to slow down the developing so that we could have a minute to take a look at everything and to try to bring some of our codes up to date, which we did, to be able to, you know, make things a little bit better up by Hannaford. And I do believe we accomplished that. There's, you know, when we did that, some of the projects were really much bigger than what they are now. So the moratorium gave us a minute to digest it, look at it, reevaluate it, get our some of our laws up to date, and that was really the whole purpose.
And part of that was that when we realigned the PRRD part of the code, where at some point it comes before the town board, whomever is on that town board at the time, and they have full say as to what can or can't happen within the realm of the PRD as far as size, setbacks, screening, etc. So that's a big change.
And then Maureen, the other thing is the height restriction. You know, we took all of that into consideration. We didn't like the height of some of the projects that wanted to come here. So that was the other thing. Go ahead, Joe.
So I'm going to comment, and everybody on the board has their own vision and their interpretation, and not anyone's wrong. They all vote on what they believe is right and in the best interest of the town. So I understand where Fred and Claire are coming from. I don't believe on my aspect, on my point of view, we met the goal. To be honest with you, I made campaign promises. I know that other people on this board did. I don't believe we really fulfilled those. There was height requirements pertaining to 3-story. I know that we have a project going in right now that's 3-story based on the way they measured. I don't think we really adequately addressed that. I think setbacks, I had recommended that for anything over 100 feet in length, they had to go back a foot, which would have increased the setbacks, which would have addressed other projects. Unfortunately, I was not able to get that through. Green space, we were able to be successful. So I think on some aspects, we were successful, lot size. But overall, I think that we could have done more, and I would have liked to see more done. But that's just my perspective. So as to your question, I don't believe that, we really met all the things that we set out to do.
So Joe, what project do you feel is 3 stories?
I don't want to comment on projects' names.
Well, you're saying it, so I just need you to back it up because, it's important, right?
Well, the one assisted living on one side, it's 3 stories.
There's no 3 stories on any of those buildings.
The one I thought I saw, the blueprint is 3 stories.
It's not.
Aren't the apartments by Dollar General 3 stories?
Those passed
was
way
before the moratorium. Go ahead,
Three stories. So Golden View is not going to be 3 stories because the thing I saw is a half.
He's 2 stories.
I see a story in the basement level where the steps go down and 2 more stories on top of it, which is 3.
No,
It's 2. That's not right. 2 stories is ground level, not basement. So, and I don't think there's any project that anybody's renting anything out of a basement. At Golden View, I know it's 2 stories. His buildings are duplicate to what he already has, and I've never seen 3 stories there. And I know it's 2 stories. And then the assisted living is not 3 stories; it's 2.
I speak as a resident. I from what I've read, I believe that Silver Gardens / Golden View 2 is proposed to be 3 stories. So, I'm getting varying answers too, depending on who I talk to from the town. So, Fred, I know when we met at Pizzuto, remember we were discussing it, and it seems that we all thought it's going to be 3 stories. Bridgeview residents really would like it to be 2 stories.
No,
and you were saying it could be 3 stories within the 35 feet, and that was
There's a height requirement of 35 feet.
right.
It's not a story requirement; it's a height requirement. We tried to limit it to 2 stories, and then we have the 35 feet. So if you put a flat roof on the property and exposed half the basement, you'd be within the 35 feet. And
so
theoretically would get the 3 stories.
So tomorrow night they're on the agenda. So I suggest Maureen come and ask the question there. But unless I've missed something, I'm going to tell you it's 2 stories. Now I could be wrong. I made a mistake.
And I thought, and Claire, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I thought when I saw and maybe it was just because it was the height difference of the cliff that the Villages was being built on, it looked like there was a 3rd story when it went up. Maybe this was an optical illusion, but it looked like, because I was concerned about the height, because on one end where you measure the ground, it's 135 feet, but then on the other end, it's up on a plateau or a cliff, and then it's higher than the other portion of the building. And I thought that was 3 stories. So I could be wrong, but it does look like the two dimensions, it was supposed to be measured from the lowest point to the highest point from that side. Not that different sides could have different heights depending on the requirements. So, that's our fault because we didn't address it early in the thing.
No, I think it's pretty addressed, but listen, Joe, I don't know if you'll come, but Maureen, come tomorrow and ask this question. And if you don't, I will, but I'm fairly certain that there's no three-story.
Okay, thank you. And then I just had one more kind of general question where there does seem to be a lot of development going on, and just wondering, what is the town's responsibility regarding if things don't follow along with the comprehensive plan? Would there be a certain board that would jump in, because I'm reading a lot about the comprehensive plan and the holistic approach and things like that. And just, to be honest, certain things like the village, it doesn't look like it's really in sync with that comprehensive plan. So I just didn't know. I will just say, I'm not a specialist in this. I'm just a resident, but just looking at it visually, it's just so large and dense, and so things like that where it seems very the opposite of what I was reading in the comprehensive plan, and that's the kind of stuff that gets confusing as a resident. And I'm just wondering who might address that, or would that be addressed if when all these things are getting approved, if they are not consistent.
So Claire, just so you know, I actually have, I'm going to turn my camera on. You guys see this from my phone?
No.
That's an image of Golden View. What they're proposing, and it is 3 stories.
Thank you. It was, yeah.
So it is proposed as 3 stories. So
Which one are you referring to? Golden View?
Golden View. It's 3 stories. I have the image on my phone.
Silver Gardens or Golden?
Silver Gardens. I'm sorry.
Well, because Joe, he's changed the name.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
So it's confusing.
In fact, Claire, I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, and we'll ask a question tomorrow, but I'm 90% sure that that's not the case. It's
I'm gonna send it to you right now.
2 floors. There's
I'm gonna send you the picture right now.
apartments on the other.
Yeah, no, and now.
Here, I just sent it to you. You can see it for yourself.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm gonna look for Rich's number.
And here's the other picture of it. It's 3 stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Then why don't, listen, if the public hearing is still open, which I believe it is, then you should have this discussion tomorrow night with the planning board in their public hearing option of Silver Gardens.
Okay. No, thank you, Fred. But then to my more general question where, I'm just going to say, I think I'm a little disappointed that, it sounds like some really great things were accomplished during the moratorium, but to think that after the moratorium, something the size and density of the villages is going to likely be approved or something, that was disappointing for me because, I know it was initially zoned for half-acre residential, which is something I think everyone would live with. And I'm just confused as to why, just because the developer wants to put in as many possible cottages as he can onto every single parcel, why are we going along with that?
Well, Maureen, just so if I can speak to that, when the PRRD phase becomes real, when it goes from being proposed to an actual, that has to come before the town board, and we can say we don't want any, we want 1, we want 10. We have control over how many cottages he builds.
Okay.
And if they get a variance from our zoning board, do we have control then?
No.
So
I don't think we
don't
do
have
that.
control.
But listen, can I just speak to the Golden View? I just talked to Dave. So he said it's not. It's 3 stories, including basement, right, on the one side, because of the way it is on a hill. So the basement would be like the first level, and then the first floor and the second floor would be so it's.
So they'd be living in the basement then, Claire, like you said. Nobody's gonna live in the
I don't
basement.
think so. I don't think so.
But they are living in the basement.
I'll call back. But I'm pretty sure no.
You have the picture, Claire. I just said it shows 3 stories.
Joe, I don't know where you got that from, but I just got off the phone with Dave and he said it's 2 stories. The only place is 3 stories, including the basement.
Why don't we take this discussion to the planning board tomorrow night, where they'll have the maps and the facts and figures. we're like shooting bullets here in the dark.
It has nothing to do with the town board at this point. It's really the planning board. It has nothing to do with the town.
We gotta have the answer tomorrow, okay?
But it does. He's a concerned citizen. It totally has to do with town board. People come to the town board. We're here to listen to them. We're here to talk about their
But
concerns.
it's a
So
planning
it
board
does have to do with
issue.
town
It's-
board.
Concern will
And
be
Maureen,
addressed at the
That's where
planning
this
board.
issue is at the planning board.
Right, so come to the planning board tomorrow and then we can enlighten everybody. But, you know, and I just talked to Dave and he said we'll confirm it all tomorrow to make sure that everybody's clear on it.
I thought Dave was in training. He couldn't be at this meeting.
He was in training all day and he's been for 3 days, from what I understand. And I didn't know that until today.
Well, that's kind of funny because I passed them coming home from work, leaving the town hall.
He wasn't at the town hall today. Joe?
Maybe he stopped at the town hall.
Yeah, maybe he had business at
Maybe.
the town hall.
But that was at 5 o'clock, so he could have been at this meeting. So
Okay, is there any other business to come before the?
Yes,
Go
Stephen
motion.
Lee, right?
But yeah,
Yes.
thanks, Stephen.
Yes, Stephen, it's yours.
Okay, just to let people know if they're not aware of it, I know Wendy has posted it on the town site as well as the TV channel. The Highland Hose, in conjunction with the Town of Lloyd PBA, is conducting a 20th anniversary 9/11 brick tribute to commemorate the fateful day 20 years ago where 412 first responders made the ultimate sacrifice. The 9/11 brick tribute is a fundraiser to pay homage to their heroism. The flyers are out there. If anybody's interested, just follow the information, and we thank you very much.
Stephen, I saw the flyer. I haven't had a chance to respond. Please put me down for one and I'll get a check to you.
Okay. I can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Ed? Can you hear me?
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes. I can hear you now.
This is Mark Reynolds. I
Yes,
have
Mark,
a
go ahead.
question. I wanted to follow up on the affordable housing. I have two questions. The affordable housing. When I was asking about the new houses being built behind Dollar General, and I remember distinctly that Dave had said, yes, they will comply. The architect of the project, when they were approved, said they would comply. Then I filed for the affordable housing plan, which has to be submitted during the planning when they were getting site plan approval. And I got the response from Dave was that no plan exists. So I wondered if the town board is going to make sure that that project complies with the law.
I will speak to the county planning, and the law is the law. We can't change the law. I will address that and get back to you.
Dawn, can I ask a question? And I know you're not our land use attorney, but I've been dying to ask this. Is this law was in fact, I understand, under the Dollar General. I'm sorry, the project in the old Pratt's Lumberyard, that they didn't have to do it because it wasn't totally set in stone then. But it has been set in stone for other projects that come forward. Do they have to follow our laws if they just decide not to submit the plan, even though they said they are?
Joe, what I know is that it's a timing thing as to when the law was in effect.
Yeah, but
And I don't have the dates to then line that up.
But what I'm asking Sean is, if the law was in effect and then they built the project after the law is in effect or get their approvals after, do they have to comply and can we force them?
Well, the planning board, and I thought that Teresa had said that the planning board, it was a component of the approval, and I don't know that. But if the law was in effect when they built it, it should have been part of the planning process. It should have been a requirement of the approval. And if it was part of the approval, they would be in violation of their approval if they don't comply.
So we would be able to hold them accountable. And Sean, I do recall that development because I asked the question at that meeting, will they be affordable? And they said, yes, they have to comply because their project was after the law. So it kind of, if what Mark Reynolds is saying is true, kind of, makes me concerned that we've said why, again, I'm going to say this again, why are we making laws if we're not holding people accountable or if we're not enforcing them?
Well, I said, in the planning process, it should be a part of the planning component and the approval. Now, Mark's saying is up. I think what he's talking about is up behind Dollar General, that there was discussion during the planning process that it was going to be part of it, and now it's his understanding that there is no plan, and I can't really address that. But I think that project came on from early on. It was from day one, the law was in effect that there was a affordable housing component that.
And Sean, I'm under the impression that it's 10%.
Right. So that project, I would assume, would be subject to it. Like I wasn't involved in the planning process, but I assume that project would be subject to the affordable housing law, because it was brought before the board while the law is in effect.
Okay, so
Sean, I'll seek guidance from the county on this, and then
Maureen
I'll have them speak with you.
Maureen has a question.
Yes, hi.
Yes.
Just one more thing, and it's kind of just piggybacking off a lot of these points that are being raised right now. But this is for Fred. Regarding, say, thank you all for getting the meeting minutes up. I definitely appreciated that. I wanted to get some information on all these different developments. But, I've observed the Dave Barton saying, he didn't have time to get the meeting minutes up. I've read about different major developments that I didn't realize there was 2 houses. I thought it was 1. So I'm just kind of, I'm just sensing maybe it's either someone who's very loose in their interpretation of things. Sometimes there's notes, sometimes it's not. And so, Mr. Pizzuto, I'm just wondering if that's a concern to you, being as you supervise him, because I'm very concerned.
I would need specifics on
some
that.
facts.
Okay, well, number
I
one
would
was the
need specifics.
I was very concerned about the meeting minutes not being available for 2 years.
Well,
And
just so I can speak to that. As you know, last year was a shutdown year for most all of us. We lost not 1 but 2 secretaries upstairs, and the real problem that existed was with civil service, and I'm not blaming the county, because nobody was at work.
Nobody was working.
It took us months and months just to get a list, a civil service list from the county, so that we could begin the interview process. And Margaret can attest to this. It was like pull your teeth out. And then as that finally unfolded, we hired Secretary 1. And then we just most recently, in the last, I think, 3 or 4 months, have Secretary 2. So the bigger part of the issue upstairs was they didn't have the secretarial staff to do this. They now do. And it's my understanding that the minutes are all done and up, if I'm not mistaken.
And I do appreciate that. It was just that, again, from a resident's point of view, when we didn't realize that Silver Gardens was being proposed to be built within our community, that's very alarming. And so that's what gets me to look at the town and see if there is information
So,
that would
Maureen,
be really helpful for me to have all along. And that's when I realized that, so I understand you're saying it's staffing, but it just seems
it's not now, but it was then.
but Maureen, Silver Gardens was in front of the town a couple of years ago.
Right.
Everything kind of stopped, and then he's back. And all the things that he's going for now, his project, it's open for public hearing tomorrow. They haven't given him anything yet.
Okay.
He had to work out the sewer line. I had talked to him about that because, his interpretation and Franco's were too different. And I said to him, you have to talk to Franco and you have to comply. He's still going through his phase. I don't think he has approval on what's going on in the buildings. That'll be, that's not going to happen until May. So I'm pretty sure that Dave's not being loosey-goosey. He's doing his job. He just has to do it in a protocol to keep the town's best interest. And that's what he does. I've been to all those meetings. I hear all of everybody's concern. I've heard, everybody's concern on Silver Gardens, and the bottom line to me, and I know that Joe and Mike want people to be able to stay in this town that have lived here their whole lives. Well, I got news for everybody. The people that are in Silver Gardens are people that we grew up with. So, as much as you guys in Bridgeview don't like it, I get it. But this affords us, for our people to stay in our town, this has been their community their entire life.
No, I mean,
So-
I'm not,
But hold on, can I comment? I'd like to comment on that, Claire, and I get it,
Comment.
and I get it, but the reality is it's not about the project
It is,
itself.
Joe.
It's about the project being a project that meets the needs of our community, but
It
also
meets it.
fits the landscape and also doesn't cause an impact. So I know,
It's not gonna
I'm
cause
not
an
gonna get
impact.
into it about another project with a neg deck that should have been that should have been a pause deck.
It should have been a
And
neg deck.
also-
Joe.
And also
Were
this
you on the
project now,
meetings?
there's
On
a
the
lot of
meetings, Joe?
concerns.
Did you come to any of the planning board meetings?
Please talk.
I don't remember
Claire,
seeing you
Claire,
there.
Please, listen.
When people get combative, it's because they can't make a logical, coherent.
I'm making a logical.
So you're
I,
becoming
listen,
combative
I
because you don't
delivered
like what I have
food,
to
Joe.
say.
I
When
delivered the
reality is,
food. With Chief
you're
Gilso
attacking me,
to
and
Golden
you're
View, and
attacking
guess
me and
what?
trying to call me out
Those
on something.
people are our.
Can we
Liaisons.
go on to motions and resolutions?
No, we
Yes,
can't,
please,
Wendy. We
Wendy,
can't, Wendy.
because
You're not a
this is a
board
Point of
member.
order.
And we're-
Point of order. You all need to
Claire,
stop
shut up.
talking.
So we're in privilege of the floor. Wendy, you're out of order because the board is speaking. And although you're elected official, you're not a board member. So I'm going to say, Claire, what I'm saying to you is we have the right to agree and we have the right to disagree.
And
We
we do
both have a right
disagree
to our
because I
opinion.
want people in
So-
our town to be able to afford to live here, Joe.
But
I
people in
do.
your community are speaking out that they're not happy with these projects. They're
Well, guess
concerned, and
what?
it's our job to
And we're
listen.
listening, but
to
they're
what
in
they have
front
to say.
of the board and they can come
Okay.
tomorrow night and speak out again because they've
All right,
been
then
Thank you,
coming.
Joe.
I
Thank you very
think,
much, Joe.
I think this all gets
Thank you.
taken to the planning board tomorrow evening.
And you know, and I'm getting disheartened.
And it
that
would
we're
be
giving
really
people
nice
lip
if we
service,
actually had
that we're giving people
projects
lip
reported
service
in the
and we're
paper
not
that were correct.
understanding. I don't like that we're giving people lip service when reality is we need to hear their concerns and do something about it.
Yeah,
And if
everyone
we're
hears
not,
their
then we need to
concerns
be,
at every planning board
we need
meeting.
to stop making disingenuous statements to them that we're listening.
There's
and
no
really-
disingenuous statements. I don't know where you're coming from.
That's
I
exactly.
would like these people in our community to be able to live here. That's why I think it's a good project. And yes, it's not a closed project. It is still public hearing. It's open. Everyone can still voice their concerns. We're very much aware of that. That's why we kept it open, because we wanted to make sure that we heard everyone's concern and we met everyone's concern.
So this all goes to the planning board tomorrow night.
Yes.
Right.
And I suggest
Right.
that all the councilmen come to the meetings so that they're well informed.
And that's why we have liaisons, Claire, to inform
Right.
us. what's happening.
Okay, Joe, but you know what? If it was me, I would be at the meeting because I want to know. So,
Okay,
Well, thank you for getting.
I have one more question.
yes,
yeah,
Mark.
Number two had to do with that 9 Commercial Avenue with the wall collapsing. I didn't hear anything about that. What's the update?
Earlier, the discussion was, there's a dumpster in the front of the building, and apparently it's now been filled. They're in the process of apparently cleaning out the cork and the debris so they can assess what they're going to do inside. So they are working on a solution at the moment.
Is he on schedule?
What's that?
Is he on schedule?
He's
he
got
has 90
60
days.
He's
I
got
thought,
60 days.
left.
So she's got 60 days. So
Right.
with everybody being back upstairs, we hope to have him give us a report at the workshop.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Susie Garcia has a question.
Yes. Susie, are you?
Susie?
Morgan, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
I just wanted this is a very important topic, and I think we all have a lot of things to say, but I do think that it's very important that we just let each other speak. And this is my daughter. Yes, sorry. I also live here, and I'm just kind of sitting in on the meeting. I just think it's important that we really hear each other out and just let each other speak. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
That's my daughter studying to be a lawyer.
Good for her. Okay,
We ready for motions?
seeing no other questions, Wendy, would you start with motion A?
Motion to approve the town board workshop minutes of April 7th, 2021.
Do I have a motion? Is there a second? The second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Aye.
Resolution B.
Resolution to authorize the payment of vouchers as audited by the audit committee.
Is there a
Motion.
motion? Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
He seconded, but you can't
Hold
hear
on,
him.
Lenny, hold. Oh, you're back on, Len. With a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution C.
Resolution to hire Matthew M. Sudol as part-time police officer at a rate of $21.20 per hour with a start date of 4/22/21, pending pre-employment physical at the recommendation of Chief Jansen.
Motion.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Aye.
D.
Resolution to authorize supervisor to approve and sign the Marshall and Sterling insurance policy for February 2021 through February 2022 term.
Motion.
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution E.
Motion to close the Frank Lombardi parking lot on Saturday, May 15th from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Events Committee Spring Market event.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Resolution
Aye.
F.
Resolution to accept the resignation of part-time dispatcher Amanda Rose effective April 14th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
I
Motion.
have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So
Aye.
carried. Resolution G.
Resolution to accept the resignation of part-time dispatcher Kelsey Depew effective April 25th, 2021.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Discussion. Jim,
Yeah.
she's been, how many years has she been with us?
Which one, Joe?
Chelsea.
What's that, Kelsey? She's part-time. She's been on and off for 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
3 years probably.
I was surprised when I saw that.
Yeah, she's a good person. She started, I guess, her own personal business, so
Good
we
for
wish her well. And dispatcher Rose just got accepted to the MTA Police Academy in New York City.
Yay. Good job.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution H.
Okay, whereas Louis Charles DeSacy Jr., a lifelong resident of the town of Lloyd, was taken from our midst on February 24th, and whereas Louis Charles DeSacy Jr. served as the town of Lloyd attorney for 40 years, and whereas Louis Charles DeSacy Jr. was known for his never-ending knowledge of the law and everything Highland, and whereas Louis Charles DeSacy Jr. was known for his honesty and his integrity and friendship to all and his devotion to family and community, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Field Pavilion to be located on a town field at 39 Main Street will be named the Louis Charles DeSacy Jr. Pavilion at the recommendation of Town Supervisor Frederick Pizzuto, former Town Supervisor John Decker, and former Town Council Member John Mazzetti.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Yeah, that's awesome. Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
Go ahead.
Discussion. I wish I would have been made aware of this before I saw the resolution this afternoon. You know, Mr. DeStacy was a fantastic lawyer for our town. He guided the town with all his knowledge, and to give him a pavilion, I don't know, maybe we could all put our heads together and maybe come up with a better plan. I just feel that we should have all been put in on the input here.
Mike, I want to address that too. I agree with you. You know, I think about the learning center we're doing at the water park. That may have been something even better because he was a lawyer. He was a super person of knowledge. You know, maybe even approaching the library and, you know, changing the name in memory of him. You know, working with the Library Association, that may have been something more appropriate. I wish we were part of the conversation too. You know, I just was made aware of this when I saw the agenda. The first agenda I got tonight, actually this morning, had nothing on it. And then this resolution popped in right before the meeting. So I hear you, Mike.
So you didn't talk to your uncle, I guess, huh?
You know, Claire, the supervisor that should have included us in it. I didn't know that we had a committee devised of former board members.
Well, listen, you guys can vote no on it. Go ahead and vote no, that's all.
It's not about the no, it's just about being
no.
involved in discussion and being
Well, do you want to
transparent.
table it, Joe? Do you guys want to table it and then we could work
That's
on
not-
something else?
That's not what we're saying, Claire. What we're saying is that we would have liked to have been part of the discussion.
Well, Freddie,
this
maybe
is a
we
pretty
should
big
table
thing.
it so
It
that
was-
they can have their
Why,
thoughts.
I'm not going to table it.
why are you interrupting my train of thought? I'm not
We'll
interrupting
just
you.
Uh,
I'm trying to say
I'm
your
working
question,
towards.
and I'm
You all
trying to
can't talk
answer
at
it,
once.
and you're speaking over me.
I'm
So all
agreeing
we're
with you
saying
that
is-
maybe we should give you guys the opportunity, Joe. That's what I'm saying.
Did you know
And
about
I'm
it, Claire?
sorry that you feel.
Did you know about it tonight?
Heard about it. Yeah, I just heard about it that Freddie had a conversation with your uncle.
When did you hear
That's
about
what
it?
I heard.
Because the first time I'm hearing about it is right now when I saw this agenda.
I thought that I was told that you did hear about it, so I apologize. I didn't know that you didn't hear about it.
No, I did not.
I'm surprised. So,
Well,
but
the
listen, I'm
point
not
is-
arguing with you. I'm
point
saying
is-
if you
And
feel.
I
Point is,
thought
maybe we can do something even better.
that's what I
think
hear
we
you,
could
Mike. And
take-
what I'm saying is, and all I'm saying is, Claire, is these committees.
I don't want to.
I didn't even know this committee even existed. Who authorized this committee? Who appointed these people to this committee? And yes, one of them is my uncle, but I didn't appoint him to it.
There's no committee. There's
was
nothing here
just-
about a committee.
It was just past
So-
people. Past
It
people
was a
that-
suggestion.
So don't do it. This
Well,
is my point.
I like to make a suggestion. I have a few ideas. Maybe we could put it together. Everybody, and then we could talk about it. I mean, it's only fair. We could name the town hall after Mr. DeStacy. Joey brought up the library. Maybe the village field doesn't have a name. We put the pavilion there. We have. We could call it the Mr. DeStacy complex. Incorporate the village field with the pavilion, which could be nice. But it's all. We all should agree to this. That's the point.
And Mike, I just want to comment. We're naming something after him that isn't even built yet, and we don't even know when it's going to be built, or if we can even build it. We have the money to build it. We're up in the air with it.
You just, Joe, you without realizing it, you just said the magic word, Joe.
What's the magic word, Len?
Money.
Right. So we're naming. So this person is such an important legacy of our town, and we're naming something that may never even be built.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, it will be built, okay? I can
I will.
guarantee that.
What decade?
And there are people out there that if we probably commit to naming it after him, will be more than grateful to donate money and time.
Okay.
Well,
If we name it, they will come. I get it.
There you go. That was a good movie too.
it worked out at the river.
Is the pavilion at the river named after anybody, Lenny?
Yes,
No.
I thought it was. Oh, it's a Bob Shepherd Park.
So why don't we name that pavilion that's already built after him? So this way his name can go on it now.
I think it's got Mr. Scartanis' name on the building.
Oh, and Joe, that's a good
No,
one.
that's-
Yeah.
Because he was responsible for money for us.
hear you.
Listen, I have a resolution on the floor. Is there any more discussion?
I'm just gonna say before, I just want to comment so people understand. I am all for naming something after Mr. DeStacy. I think he's a legacy of our community. I'm not gonna vote no on this. I just wish I was part of the discussion and we could have named something that's already built after him and something more grandiose than.
Remember, he was a singer and he was a band leader, and
Absolutely.
what's more apropos, but something like a bandstand. Well, I think Lou would be very proud of this.
Joe, do you want to table it?
Oh, I don't want to table it. I did.
Okay.
That's not.
Mike, do you want to
No,
table
I
it?
don't want to table it. I don't want to
I
table
hear
it.
both of you. I'm not giving you a hard time.
Wendy, let me have a roll call vote, please.
No, I didn't.
Roll call. Akmoody,
Yes.
Pizzuto,
Yes.
Winslow,
Yes.
Mazzetti,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
5-0 carried.
Thank you.
Okay.
Resolution L,
Resolution to authorize Supervisor Pizzuto to sign the supplemental agreement number 5 between the town of Lloyd and Burton Latudas. This contract has changes as follows. Do you need me to read that, or you guys are good with that?
No, it spells it out. It was the change that they had to make at 1 Tilson Avenue at the very end of the
Right.
surveying.
Okay. Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Seeing no other information to be brought before the board tonight, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Bye, Lynn.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.